Dee 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 dee. Da 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 da. Plant. Boom 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 boom. Da 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 dum. Moss.
Gametophyte is the dominant generation of phylum Bryophyta. In this form, it has leaflets connected to the stem, which are then connected to rhizoids. In the sporophyte generation of phylum Bryophyta, there is a capsule connected to the stalk, which makes up the sporangium. We're not able to see that in this plant here, but yeah.
Mosses are non-vascular plants, and because of this they lack xylem and phloem. This also means they're dependent on diffusion to transport water throughout their body. This also means they gotta be small and moist, boys. Mosses reproduce asexually through fragmentation. They'll primarily reproduce sexually using splash transfer. This is when sperm from the male plant is carried to the female plant in water droplets.
Ferns.
Ferns are vascular.
Here we have
Bracket fern.
Here we have
Deer fern.
Here we have
Sword fern.
Sporophyte is the dominant generation of ferns. Here we see collections of Sorus, groupings of sporangium that contain spores. Ferns use spores to reproduce, and utilize both meiosis and mitosis throughout their reproductive cycle.
In the heart-shaped gametophyte of a fern, water is required to bring sperm from the male Antheridia part to the female Archegonium part, which will then create a new sporophyte fern. The sporophyte fern is made up of the stem, leaflets, rhizome, and roots, with the stem and leaflets making up the frond. Gymnosperms.
Gymnosperms are vascular.
Man, I love gymnosperms, and they give the best hugs. Here we have the female and male pinecone. They both serve important roles in the reproductive cycle. And here we have the roots, stem, or in this case trunk, resin, and spiny leaves of the gymnosperm. Gymnosperms reproduce through sexual reproduction. The pollen from the male cone travels down the female cone. Here it develops a pollen tube that grows for a year before it reaches the female gametophyte. Sperm then travels through this tube to fertilize the egg. Once fertilized, the egg becomes a sporophyte embryo. Sporophyte is the dominant generation of the gymnosperms. Classic.
This is the Douglas fir tree. This is the western red cedar. This is the western yew tree. Angiosperms.
Angiosperms are vascular.
In order to properly identify a flower, you must eat it. Because unlike in chemistry, here in biology, we do use taste. Down below the earth, we have the roots. Here we have the stem, the leaves, and the flower. Pollen is carried from the anther of one plant to the stigma of another plant, in a process called pollination. Sporophyte is the dominant generation of the angiosperm. They have a pistil and stamen as the female and male reproductive parts. They have fruit covering the seed to protect it, and beyond that, they're able to complete an entire reproductive cycle in one season. This diagram allows us to see the pistil, which consists of the stigma, style, and ovary, which contains the ovules, as well as the stamen, which consists of the anther and filament. Also, the petals are there.
Yes.
Take a look around the room. Love comes wearing disguises. How to go about choose. Break it down by shapes and sizes. I'm a man who's got very special.
Dee 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 dee. The end.